All right, everybody, back to the Agent War Room podcast. And we are super excited about having Michael Manos on today. Michael Manos is an expert in AI, and you know what all the rage is right now, right? It's AI. Whether you're using ChatGPT or Claude or Gamma, I mean, there's so many AI tools out there. And Michael has really spent quite a bit of time delving into all of the AI. As a matter of fact, I'll give you a little background on Michael. He is a real estate investor, a licensed realtor, and a founder of Imaginatio AI Lab. It's a pioneering AI consulting firm specializing in real estate marketing, sales automation, and lead generation. He's in Tampa, Florida, and he brings 7 years of industry experience. He's done residential, commercial, and land development, really strong focus on the AI driven strategies to empower real estate developers, investors, and professionals to maximize in those areas of lead generation, sales conversion, and streamlining the marketing efforts through this insane cutting edge technology. So we are going to dive in with Michael today and just talk about his background, his business, what led him to this, very quickly see his savant-like powers and methodology on thinking. And he's going to kind of geek out with me here on some AI. So, Michael, thank you so much for coming today.
Absolutely, Alex. Let me tell you, it's an absolute blessing to be able to join you today. And I have to say, that's probably one of the best introductions that I've ever received. So I really appreciate that. And I'm really fired up to be here in the war room today.
Awesome. Well, again, we're super happy to have you, and I'm sure the audience is going to just take so many things away from this. So I start with a question and end with a question as well that are really important, because one of the things that's really important that we do here is we want actionable takeaways. We want stuff that the listener or the viewer of this is going to be able to actually get off this podcast and go, I'm going to my desk right now. I'm doing this because this is going to impact my business today, tomorrow, and over the next 30 or 90 days, I'll likely gain 1, 2, or 3 more escrows. So we'll start out with, what would you say is your superpower in business?
Yeah, I would say that's a great question. So in business in general or real estate or
Yeah, I mean, you could
yeah.
just distill it down the way you'd like to, but I mean, obviously for our
Honestly,
viewers,
I
probably
was
more real
thinking
estate
it
focused.
was actually described to me as the way an individual thinks. And they said, Michael, you are they call it like a spaghetti thinker, not a linear thinker, but sort of a spaghetti thinker, where I have this ability to sort of go to the end of a problem or a challenge, and maybe not directly to the end, but in multiple different angles, looking at that opportunity or that challenge, and be able to kind of reverse engineer back to what the problem is. And I think that is what's kind of made me so successful with AI, because I just kind of see that as an additional layer to that process. And and also being just kind of open-minded, right? Just not not getting stuck in one level of thinking. I always try to kind of think outside the box. And I think, that's really what is my superpower. And then I'm always willing to learn, right? And we'll get into how I started to learn about artificial intelligence. But I would say, that's my superpowers, and I'm developing them every day, right?
Awesome. So I'm gathering by that when we got as kids those like square mazes where you had to figure out your way out from the start point, that you went to the end point first and went backwards.
Absolutely. I'm able, yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's a blessing and a curse, to be honest with you, Alex, because you have to be in today's, business landscape. And also, in real estate, you have to be a linear thinker. And then, so that's why I think the agent war room is awesome, because guys like me and guys like you and guys like Isaac can all get together in one room, all different levels of thinking, and be able to come up with some really, really amazing conversations and concepts.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, totally appreciate that. All right. So let's go down the rabbit hole of AI. I mean, I think it's hard to say what attracted you to AI because it's probably what attracted all of us to AI. Where not everybody's using it, but I got to tell you, I've got a lot of prompts in ChatGPT. As a matter of fact, one of my really good friends, and he's been a client of mine as well. He just sent me a message on my phone about a half hour before this, and he said, "Hey Alex, um, I just signed to get new windows put in my entire house, and I have until tomorrow evening to cancel out of the contract. And I'm starting to have a little buyer's remorse set
Sure.
in. I'm not sure if I'm really getting the deal, but they gave me this whole song and dance, and he told me what it was, and it sounded absolutely like a right here, right now, sign on the dotted line sales pitch, which
Yep.
I don't necessarily love. And ultimately, he told me what the price was. So before calling the window people that I've used in the past or anything else, I actually went right over to ChatGPT and I said, I live in Las Vegas. I have this year house. It has 21 windows of a variety of sizes. What is the typical cost of a quality window replacement retrofit job? And it said, depending on windows, and it had a breakdown on the windows below, but 6,000 to 27,000. Well, guess what? His bid was 26,000. So is it a range? Yes. Is it at the top end? Yes, it is. So
Yes.
then it prompted me. I copied it, sent it over to him, and then sent him over a business card of a window person that I've used in the past that I know is super competitive, and said, look, you don't have to switch to him. Just make sure that you get a price from him so he keeps the other people honest. But the ease to that was that I just went to Chat GPT.
Yep. And what you just described right there is going to be the future of how we navigate the internet, right? This sort of natural language search process in which we're able to get this information very quickly and make informative decisions. And you asked me actually what got me into AI. The first time I took a glance at AI was back in 2022. I believe it was 2022. And there was it was like an Instagram ad for this SaaS, and it was called Cheat Layer. And I was this is very interesting. And so Cheat Layer was actually one of the first companies that was approved by OpenAI to be able to develop using their API. And what Cheat Layer is it's basically it's a AI software that allows you to automate processes, right? And in the real estate industry, we might have some particular processes like every morning I have to go and pull my for sale by owner data. Every morning I want to go out into the marketplace and I want to figure out what the interest rates are for that day. I have to build my list to be able to prospect for that day. These are all processes that are, in my opinion, archaic, right? That now something like Cheat Layer was able to automate for me. And so that really, really caught my eye because I felt in our industry that was sort of the next level of eliminating these archaic practices that we have to do every day, these menial tasks when we really could be out closing deals and building relationships in real life. So that's what really sparked my interest in it. But quite honestly, it was the NAR lawsuit that really kind of kicked me in gear. I said to myself, wow, I really need to learn a lot more about this artificial intelligence stuff. I had already been, exploring blockchain technology. So I knew that was kind of coming around the corner. I'm starting to kind of foresee this convergence of multiple technologies. And I said to myself, all right, I need to start taking this up very seriously. And so at the time, I thought I was going to have to completely replace myself. And so that's what I talk about the end, So I'm like, all right, so I'm envisioning myself using artificial intelligence where I'm completely eliminated from that entire process of building my list and making the phone calls and negotiating the deals, so forth and so on. I'm saying to myself, I'm going to put electronic lock boxes on the doors and people can go in and out. I'm going to use the AI. And so, I'm just going crazy with it. And then I ended up having a conversation with a friend of mine who is in the blockchain technology space. And we started to talk about, we started having conversations around what industries would be the most resistant to that happening, right? What I just described to you, which is the complete elimination of the human from the equation. And, real estate came up. That was one of them. And the banking industry was another one. And there was a few more. And so that's when I started to take a step back and say to myself, okay, how can I enhance the experience that our consumers are getting today with just the real estate professional? How can we use a little bit of artificial intelligence alongside the human experience to better serve the customer? And so that's kind of when I went down that rabbit hole of how to pull different lever points in my business and other businesses, to be able to have a good synergy between the human and the AI.
Yeah, it's amazing that you say that, because I've looked at that resistance point as well, right? And there's so many variables. I would imagine another industry that won't be replaced by AI will be medical, and while an AI robot might be arguably better for my appendectomy, the diagnosis of and making sure that that's really what it is, right? Because I've got a pain in this side. I don't want AI telling me what that pain's from, because what if it's kidney stones or gallstones, or and I know it centralizes in different areas, but I'll tell you what, the reason I'm saying is I've had kidney stones and I've had an emergency appendectomy, appendicitis, causing that. And I don't know that I could have told the difference from one to the other, because they both presented in a very similar fashion. So, we need the doctors for that. However, doctor assisted AI tools, I think, would be fantastic. But getting back to our industry, one of the things that I've noticed, and I'll mention two things here that I've been able to do is upload these massive PDFs, right? Something like HOA docs, and somebody wants to know about the parking restrictions. Well, I could very simply look for the contents, in the content section, look for parking. But if I didn't read through the entire document, sometimes those are not organized nearly as well as what you would expect them to be. And there's some sort of thing about restrictions. There's a restriction section separate from the parking section. So they've got the parking section, and then under restrictions, it says something about parking. And, so now I upload that into, again, ChatGPT or another tool of your liking, and say, can you please provide me with a bullet point on all parking details in this
Yep.
community? And boom, it just spits it out. And I'll tell you what, Michael, I was in the, up there on the corner. You see there's an ink
I
framed
see it.
thing, right?
Awesome.
So that's Inc. 5000. I was 79th on the Inc. 5000 list with my tech company. I had tech in the insurance space, 165 employees in that company. And the reason I bring that up is the Affordable Care Act happened when I was in that business. And I was in health insurance tech specifically. And that was going to make a major impact on our business. And I remember over about a week's time sitting down and reading a 2,200-page bill called the Affordable Care Act, or some people refer to it as Obamacare. And I'm reading through it, and my eyes are about bleeding, right? Because the language in there is very watching paint dry legal verbiage, and it goes in loops, because when it's 2,200 pages that was put together in a month's time, something on page 38 contradicts something on page 2, and then something on page 1,221 actually kind of debunks both of them.
Yeah.
And so if I could have taken that document and put it into something like ChatGPT back then and said, give me all of the points of insurance. And by the way, is there any pork in this bill? Is there anything
Sure.
about, testing asphalt content in Wisconsin for $4.2 million? Because that had to be put in to get that person to vote, right? But kidding aside on that, like it's so beautiful that we could do certain things. And to your point, when you talked about this industry being one that likely wouldn't get replaced. What I'm hearing out of just about everybody, but especially the, who I would consider the elites, right? The top of the top in the industry, coaches, economists. I don't even mean agents. I'm talking, at a whole different level. I keep hearing this phrase over and over again, that AI will not put you out of business. But if you don't use AI to enhance your business, you will put yourself out of business.
Yes. So the way I look at that, right, is at one point in time we had the typewriter. And I mean, this is a this is our industry 101, right? And when we went from the typewriter to Microsoft Office, there were some people that got left behind, or they were very slow to adopt that technology, right? Businesses, our industry was can be a bit resistant when it comes to new emerging technologies, right? And then when we had Microsoft Office, no longer, we had if you wanted to share files, or you wanted to work on a project with somebody, you would have to go into their office and say, "Hey, Billy, here's the USB drive. Plug this in," or floppy disk, or whatever it might have been. And then we had the emergence of the cloud, right? So now the people who are stuck with, this kind of mindset of, I'm just going to work off the floppy disk or the USB drive, only can tap into local networks. While myself, now using Google Cloud, I can collaborate with people all over the world. Now you see how fast this technology is emerging. Okay. The What I said earlier was there's a convergence of multiple technologies going on right now. You have first of all, you have the CHIPS Act, right? So they're bringing chip production back to the United States. That's already going on and underway. The second phase of this technology is the artificial intelligence. Well, they just announced Stargate, which is a $500 billion, I want to say it's $500 billion initiative to spend money on AI infrastructure in the next 4 years. So that's three. And
Yeah.
then you have the emergence of blockchain technology. Okay, that's another technology that's been here for quite some time. It's starting to get adopted by Wall Street. It's starting to become more mainstream, and you're going to see it being used in our industry for the tokenization of real estate. Okay, so now you have AI, you have blockchain technology, and you have the CHIPS Act all going on at the same time. You have to take this very seriously as a real estate professional, because that time period of going from the typewriter to Word to the cloud happened over a span of time. These technologies are here now, and they're going to drastically change the way we do business in the next 5 years. And so, I want anybody listening today, he is 100% correct. In our industry, it's we're going to be one of the most resistant industries, in my opinion, to be completely replaced by artificial intelligence. I'm hoping. Now I'm seeing some crazy technology come out, right? I'm an optimist, so I think we're going to be quite okay. But the point here is learn how to leverage the technology, just like the business owners previous to us who learned how to leverage Microsoft Office, learn how to leverage the cloud. This is just another upskill that us as business owners need to prioritize and take very, very seriously. And if we do so today, I think we'll be successful for the future. And we'll get in here before the end of this podcast and some of the things that I think you should be taking action on.
Awesome. Awesome. So you mentioned, some things that honestly are over my head. And I like to, I'm a self-proclaimed tech geek. And there's a few things that have just eluded me. And mostly because I probably haven't spent a lot of time with them. But understanding really blockchain and what blockchain is, and you just mentioned the tokenization of real estate. So give us a quick, don't numb our minds on this, because I know I'll start to glaze over after a certain period of time. Whoa, this is too much. But
Yeah.
what's your kind of what's
Also,
a layman?
it's very easy. It's just fractional ownership of real estate, and those real estates are that the your share, or your fractional share of that real estate, is in the form of a token.
Okay, so that's more on the investment side.
So right now it is, but you're going to see it creep over into the residential side. For example, we have a lot of equity, like, United States, there's a lot of equity that's locked up in homes right now.
Mhm.
So by allowing that property owner to tokenize their asset, it allows them to tap into their equity and their liquidity. They don't have to move, right? So you're going to see it creep into the residential side, the commercial side, and quite honestly, it's a $500 trillion market across precious metals, mineral rights. You're going to see the tokenization of pretty much everything. Wall Street's really kind of foaming at the mouth about this, but we have to see, the AI get connected with the blockchain. We need to see the chips get produced. But if anybody's listening here today, the tokenization of real world assets, in this case of that 500 trillion, I would say somewhere between, or 500 billion, let's say trillion, yeah, somewhere around 200 trillion of that, guys, is real estate.
So tell me a little bit about, and make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's Imaginatio
Yeah. So
AI
so
Lab.
so it's Imaginatio, and
Imaginatio.
Imaginatio is actually the Latin word for imagination. And so what inspired me to launch that company and use that name is, as I started to use AI more and more, I could see that with just a little bit of imagination, the possibilities were endless in what I was able to do with it. Right? It's kind of like that. I don't know if you ever had this thought process, but I can't wait for. No, forgive me for saying this, audience, but for the robots to take over, so I could be on a beach somewhere and make passive income and just relax, right? But that's kind of what I envision with artificial intelligence. It's for to enhance our lifestyles, right? Not to replace us, to enhance our lifestyles, and maybe even produce some passive income for us that we don't have to work for directly. So I launched Imaginatio after joining LPT Realty. I had to make some decisions at the time, like all this stuff that's coming to fruition, the consolidation of brokerages. When the dust settles, what's going to be left? The humans or the AI? I don't know. I kind of sometimes think that Robert
Terminator
Walters.
style.
Yeah, I said, maybe Robert's like half AI, half humans, kind of like Iron Man or something. I don't know. So I went with LPT, which has been an amazing experience so far. Meeting you and meeting Isaac and some of the other guys there, awesome. But for right now, what I'm specializing, as far as Imaginatio, is booking appointment using artificial intelligence, right? So currently working with a real estate developer here in Tampa. They have a fairly large condo-tel project that they're building in downtown Tampa. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is, because in this kind of condo-tel space, oftentimes, and it's also an income producing property, oftentimes the ideal audience for this type of product is maybe Latin American, or maybe they're Canadian, they speak French, they don't speak the native language, right? When you look at oftentimes these breakdowns of who's owning these high-end condo buildings, it's often mixed between domestic and international. So part of what we're doing with them is we're helping them tap into, for example, Latin American countries, and we're prospecting. The AI is prospecting on their behalf to book appointments with their sales staff, so that their sales staff could step in and be able to convert them into an actual purchase. And that's just one of the things that we're doing for them, leveraging AI voice. It's multilingual, so it can speak 26 languages. Also, it's able to detect the language that you are speaking on the other end of the phone. So listen to this one, realtors. How many times have you gotten a lead that said, you speak Spanish, habla español, and you freeze? You can't do anything. You don't know what to do. You dial in your one friend that's a real estate professional, try to loop them in on a three-way so they can translate for you. The AI actually can detect the language that's being spoke on the other end of the phone and automatically switch to the customer's native language. It will book directly on your appointment. It'll book directly on your calendar. It will enrich your data and go back to your CRM and make sure that when the sales associate comes in the next day, they're able to have those notes and be able to follow up with the consumer. So that's just one of the things that we're doing. But I have many things in the pipeline when it comes to the development side of things.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm again into a lot of tech and being, connected in this industry pretty well between some of the major players, the follow up bosses and the Mavericks and places like that. I see a lot of their AI going on and how they're, with my team, they're pulling those calls down and they're looking for certain things in the in what we refer to as the call rubric, and in that rubric we have certain things that are necessary, and it'll score the call. And but it so it'll give me a summary of the call, it'll give me the full transcript summary, and then it'll give me the score based on the rubric with several highlight points of what you did great, as well as areas of opportunity and improvement. And I love that because, especially on the highlight points, it's really interesting because we're our own worst critics, right? And oftentimes we're always looking at what we screwed up, what we did wrong. And oh man, I shouldn't have said that. That ended the phone call, or I shouldn't have done that. I didn't get the listing, on that listing appointment, right? But we don't really hone in on what we did right to make sure that we are magnifying that every time. And I go back to sports on this, and I'm a New York Giants fan, so go Giants 2008 and 2011. But that said, against the Patriots, I still have to give credit where credit is due, and Tom Brady is arguably the goat of all goats, right?
The
There were
goat.
some great people prior to Tom Brady, but I don't think there's been anybody quite like Tom Brady. And one of the things that I know in researching Tom Brady is that he watches more film than any other player. He'll sit there and he watches film of himself. He obviously watches film of the other team that they're going to be playing because he wants to see their typical plays, their plan of attack, how they come around, how they break through lines. So he's looking at that. But when he's looking at what I was fascinated by in doing a little bit of research is he's focusing as much, if not more time on what he did right, so he can make that habitual and do that over and over again. Hey, bad plays are going to happen. Fumbles, sacks, all those things are going to happen. And he wants to learn from those, or any player should want to learn from those and improve on those. But what about what you're doing right and making sure you do that? I'm going to make up a verb right now, writer and writer every time.
Love
Uh, so so yeah, I love that with the AI and how it could break things down just so we could really focus on serious self development and self improvement.
100%. 100%. And the ability to offer that different perspective is very important. And I think that's kind of what makes this an amazing tool to leverage, is to be able to tap into that, where you're having that positive reinforcement and that you are setting the tone every day by having a conversation with the AI. And if you guys didn't know, ChatGPT voice, you can actually have it prep you for your phone calls every day. And so that's another conversation to be had. But I will tell you, in my opinion, the two things that I would leverage today if I was getting started with AI in the real estate industry, number one would be lead scoring. Okay. Very important, lead scoring. And so, what is lead scoring? So, lead scoring, essentially, with the technology that we have today, we're able to track consumer behavior across the internet, right? So we can look at different things like what websites these individuals are looking at, what's going on in their social medias. We're also able to see if these people have had children previously, their children have left their home. With public records, we're able to see any type of distress signals or scenarios, the death, the divorce, the diapers, all of those signals, all of those parameters that signal to us that a consumer's more likely to sell, right? So you can go and get something like reevaluate, and very inexpensive. I believe inside of a lot of you guys use Lofty, maybe even Follow Up Boss. You can monitor per lead, and it's like pennies, right? So you might want to give that a try. I've done an audit on my database. I tell people I ran a cash offer. I basically did an experiment. I just generated cash offer leads. So it'll make you sick, man. For it's crazy. For over a year. And I was testing you Zoodealio at the time. If anybody doesn't know, at LPT Realty, we have Zoodealio, which is a cash offer platform. And I got in with Zoodealio before Robert incorporated with LPT Plus. I said, man, if Robert's about to do this, like I really need to learn what's going on here, right? So in 1 year's time, and it was around 2,700 leads. After doing a reevaluate AI audit on the database, there was 200 missed opportunities, which means that 200 homes sold. Okay. It was $60 million in gross revenue, and it was around 1.5 or 6 million in net commissions. And I said to myself, number one, realtors, including myself, suck at follow up. Number two, how can I start incorporating artificial intelligence to just capture a fraction of this missed opportunity? And so that leads me into the second thing, which is get
Oh,
yourself a go ahead. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Michael, yeah, real quick before you go on to the second thing, because I wanna break this down for the
Yeah,
audience here a little bit because
yeah,
I see this stuff all the time. Like for instance, 74% of realtors didn't sell a single home last year, but we know in our business that there's a lot of teams and a lot of team leads take the credit. I mean, I'm a team lead. Now all my deals go in agents' names, including the team deals. But for a while, as we were building the team up, it was more credible to have the team number, so somebody could have a zero and be like, oh no, but we've done several deals, right?
right,
Now I have that different, and it's not because there was an ego and there was a break in the ego. It was just that we now have enough under the team that we look very established, and
yep,
so now I want them to take the credit. Some team leaders will take the credit forever for whatever reason, whatever their motive is, one way or another. They have a purpose and a reason.
sure,
Now, so but 74% of realtors didn't sell zero homes, so let's break down that number really quick. And I'm going to break it down in the way that I know it. This doesn't necessarily say that, the way reevaluate saw it or the way you've seen it
yeah,
in an audit. But if there were 200 missed opportunities, here's the way I see it. Pretty statistically known, and with large numbers, right? The law of large numbers in insurance and statistics comes into play. That 63% of people will go to somebody that they've used in the past, know currently, but they might not have used them, but it's a friend's wife or husband, it's a kid, a cousin, a nephew, what have you.
the first
So
heartbeat in front of them,
what's that?
the first heartbeat in front of them.
Yeah, right. So it's somebody they've used in the past, somebody that they directly know, or somebody that they're referred to.
Yep,
That's 63%. So that leaves 37%. Well, 37% of 200 is 74. So that's 74 opportunities. Now, on actual opportunities that are going to transact business, right? This is a lot different than your lead count coming in off Google pay per click or Facebook leads or something like that, of which 50% might not qualify. 32% give bad information. Out of every 100 leads that I generate, 68% actually have good contact information that we can reach out on. So when you distill that down, of actual people that are going to do business, that are going to transact a transaction, a buy or sale within the next 12 months, the closing ratio of those, excluding the 63% already, is about 30%. So you guys may hear these, half a percent, 1%, maybe Zillow leads are at 10%, but it's actually 30% of those that are going to definitively transact business. So now, of those 74, right? Think about that number at 30%. You're talking about, 22,
yep,
give or take. And I can't see you all that are watching this, but by a raise of hands, you can raise it and see yourself. Who doesn't want an extra 22 deals this year that are sitting in your database that you already paid for,
yep,
right? Oh, like it
yes,
doesn't get better than that.
yes,
So, all right, go
yes.
on to point number two here.
It's also a testament to the cash offer incentive. They say that when a consumer requests a cash offer, typically within a 6-month period, they will go on to list the home. And that's why I believe, here at LPT Realty, we're building this cash offer network. is to be able to capitalize on what the industry is seeing is that cash offer leads are some of the best leads that you could be generating right now.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, like if I could just capitalize on a fraction of that, then I'll be okay. And so the other thing that I would go out and try to implement is a conversational AI bot that can book appointments for you. Okay. And so what we're talking about is we're talking about objective based AI. So the best way to think about this is a cash offer request comes in. When you call that consumer or you're going to text that consumer, typically we'll call them. We have certain objectives that we need to cross off in the conversation for us to determine if this is a good lead or not.
Qualifiers.
Timeline, is this really your name? Is this your phone number? Is this the correct email you gave me? Or is Joe Schmo at gmail.com? You know, these are objectives that all of us should always have when we get on sales calls. It doesn't matter if we're working with buyers or sellers, if we're pitching a new business, whatever it is, we should have these objectives. And so what we do is we train the AI with the most common objectives that come up in that type of conversation. So for me, when it comes to the cash offer funnel, I really just want to know timeline, and I want the AI bot to go right into booking an appointment for me, because if they have requested a cash offer, they have shown me enough intent
Mhm.
that they are wanting to see the cash offer, or they're going to make a move in the next 6 months based on industry data. So CloseBot, all right, that's a really good one. CloseBot. If you have any questions about it, hit me up. I'm happy to get you started in it. But that is an objective based AI that you can use depending on the situation. It could be for sale by owners, it could be expireds, whatever. Now, if you pair the two together, right, you're using sorry,
Reevaluate.
using scoring. So you're scoring, you're spending your time with the leads that are more likely to convert. You're using the AI to book appointments and to get some of those common objectives answered. And as that AI is working on your behalf, it's also feeding back to the seller score and it's enhancing that score in real time. So those would be the two things that I would adopt if I was just getting started in trying to leverage artificial intelligence in the real estate industry. It's not super complex. I know it sounded like it was very difficult, but these are things that are very high leverage tools. And if you don't understand it, please hit me up. I'm happy to help you guys with that.
Awesome. Well, Michael, I typically ask that question at the end, what are the 1 to 3 takeaways that you've gotten, but you already hit those up. So really appreciate it. So you
Yes.
mentioned reevaluate
For
and
seller scores.
yep.
And then CloseBot for conversational appointment booking AI.
Yep, awesome. And Michael, if they want to get a hold of you, I had put up on the screen, but for those listening, you can
Yes.
follow Michael on Instagram at Michael Manos Realtor.
Yes.
And then how else could they get a hold of you?
Awesome. Yeah. So you can obviously find me on Facebook. I'm pretty active there. My phone number also is 813-777-2805. I'll hook you up with a free consultation to make sure that you don't get left in the stone age like the some of the realtors that trained you in this industry.
Yeah, I remember, a few weeks ago, I had to fax somebody an offer. Just not
Well, you're a
fax.
very successful man. And here's the thing. Why implement new things if things are working? Just try to enhance your systems and processes that are already working for you with the artificial intelligence. That's how you're going to see the most success. I appreciate you guys inviting me on the Agent War Room. It's always a blessing to chat with the legend Alex, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the Agent War Room.